So the industrial carbon tax, as I understand it, acts as an incentive for oil and gas companies to capture and then sequester emissions. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, more expensive projects like carbon capture projects depend in part on revenue from carbon credits. So certainty in industrial pricing systems like Alberta's tier or like the federal output-based pricing systems provide certainty in those carbon credit markets.
So if I could summarize, it's basically they're going to pay a ton of money in the carbon tax unless they sequester it. And in that case, they're going to avoid paying a ton of money, and that's obviously better for the bottom line.
Essentially, and when these systems are not that stable or not that durable, firms can maybe be hesitant to invest in something like carbon capture because they can't make a reasonable guess about what the value of a carbon credit will be in 5 years or in 10 years.
And when someone who's running for the highest office in the land says, we're going to remove the industrial price on carbon altogether, what would that mean for projects like Pathways and others?
Yeah, well, there's a couple ways this could go if the federal benchmark, if the federal system is removed. If there's no federal price, the provinces themselves have no obligation to maintain any kind of pricing system, so they could remove them entirely, or they could keep them in place but not increase the stringency, not increase the price over time, which again contributes to investment uncertainty for firms that are trying to make decisions about these bigger carbon capture projects. So for something like the Pathways CCS project, they're looking at the whole suite of what's on the table to encourage carbon capture investment. The industrial pricing system, in particular, Alberta's tier, is quite important for that. And again, the sort of predictable, stable increase in the carbon price in that system. There are other things that encourage carbon capture investment in Alberta and across the country. The federal carbon capture investment tax credit is one. The Canada Growth Fund recently signed a contract with Strathcona Resources to help them develop their carbon capture project. But without that, again, that kind of certainty over the carbon price in industrial pricing systems and a stable and predictable ratcheting up over time, it's difficult to make those kind of investment decisions. What we have right now, the sort of combination of industrial pricing and tax credits, it de-risks investment for the private sector, but not to zero because these are still private sector investments to be installed at private sector facilities. But if you change that balance and you put more of the burden on the Canadian taxpayer, it's certainly a different calculation and maybe not the most efficient one.
And just to be clear, that's your reading of what Poilievre is saying when he talks about, yes, I'm going to do away with the carbon tax at the industrial level, but I'm also open to expanding tax incentives.
Yeah, obviously we still need to hear more details on exactly what that would look like from the Poilievre camp or from the Conservative Party, but tax credits certainly cost more than industrial pricing to Canadians.